in a world teared apart by genocide, war, violence, mass murder, there are always people, very often women, who decide to make a difference, to go out and dedicate their life to helping the victims, especially if the victims are children and orphans. And this film is about 5 such women who did that 100 years ago.
Professor Lundgren is saying that these women, they just went out to relieve suffering. They didn't have many means, but they had one determination: to relieve suffering, and that they did. They didn't seek fame, they didn't seek accolades, just to relieve suffering, and that they did.
The film and the occurrences in the film remind us all about the basic goodness of human nature. And I think in today's world, that's something that deserves to be brought out over and over again. There is goodness in people, and perhaps to get the full measure of that goodness.
It's not only about history, there is a message in this story. And the message is that if you really have faith, you have dedication and strength, you can make miracles. These women, they saved thousands of Armenians from genocide. So today there are tens of thousands of Armenians who owe their life and existence to these women.
Genocide, but to have these 5 incredible women on film, documented from their own archives, and a team to go on location in, I think, 8-9 countries on a very limited budget, and such incredible cinematography is really beyond any value we can put. It's a treasure for the Armenian cause, and those of us who've been working on spreading the word about the genocide, I think nothing can do more than this documentary being shown in the halls of Congress, maybe even to President Trump, so that they see not what Armenians are saying, what non-Armenians are saying about our cause. It's a very valuable thing. Thank you very much.
And she had the zeal to serve the Armenian people. I am really fortunate to know her because we lived in the same compound that she did. She lived on one side of the building and we lived on the other. And we shared birthdays and we shared dinners. And I am so grateful to you, Professor, that you have been able to find the rest of her life, because we never knew what happened to her after she left the mission.
Because my family comes from Adana, Turkey, and they were survivors of the genocide. They ended up in the Turkish concentration camps, and they ended up in Lebanon later on. So it's really home to me, and I feel very still emotional from the whole watching the documentary.
Map of Salvation, an incredible documentary showing what has happened many, many years ago, and survivors. We talk about the genocide, the Armenian people, we talk about the heroes. This documentary really reflects the hard work of 5 people who were involved in saving and helping so many people. I encourage everyone to see this documentary, Map of Salvation, an incredible documentary that could bring tears to your eyes and move you to understand the suffering that so many people went through so many years ago, and the work of 5 people that did so much to help those people. Filmed in 8 or 9 countries around the world, and shows how much work was done, how much suffering was done. And this is a great tribute to 5 ladies who did so much to help so many. And I'm honored to be here tonight at Paramount Studios for the screening of this great, great documentary. I encourage everyone to see it. Thank you.
It's much different reading about these folks in a book than seeing it on film. It gives it a much more personal touch, a reality that you don't get out of the written word. That we've been reading about these ladies for years, but seeing it presented this way made it much more meaningful. And I want my American friends to see this, because we can argue about was there a genocide or not, and denial. How can you deny this? How can you deny this? I mean, personal accounts, personal pictures, personal writings. It's perfect.
My name is Kurt McCarley. I represent the Directors Guild of America, and we really welcome these films to sort of bridge a cultural gap. Many Americans are not very aware of this subject matter, and it's so important that this material be brought to the forefront to join the cultures together so that, as our Jewish brethren say, never again. That's a very, very good question. I think it has to come through commercial cycles of distribution. I think we have to approach the Netflix, the HBOs, the Showtimes, which have a larger footprint. One of the marvelous things and the bad thing about the internet is it's minuscule unless it's identified by another form of advertising. So right now we have to pressure networks such as Netflix, HBO, Showtime in order to broadcast more interesting narrative than just entertainment material.
Thank you. Also, another question, if you don't mind. Why do you think, or how do you think we should make them more interested in genocide to make it commercial? Because if we want to make it commercial, it has to be interesting for them.
Well, I think this film's a good example of something that's commercial and at the same time informative. I think it crosses the gap, and it should be very, very celebrated. It's just going to require, unfortunately, a great amount of sponsorship in the way of dollars in order that this be advertised and four-walled. And four-walling is a technical expression for purchasing movie theaters and then block booking it. That's the way the message will get out. The Christian distributors are doing this, everything back to when people made surfing movies, but this is a form of a way to commercially bridge the gap and get it in front of American audiences, in my small opinion.
As an extraordinary film, and it's of huge value for those of us non-Armenians because it allows us to more fully understand what happened during those terrible years of 1915 through 1920-21, when a whole culture of people were decimated by the Ottoman Turks. Just a horrible event that for a long time was, for us, non-Armenians, absolutely forgotten. So this is one instance in which my appreciation and understanding has been expanded significantly. And it further demonstrates what I did not know about the incredible compassion, once again, of non-Armenians for members of the human family, those Armenian children, women, families who lost, for many of them, lost everything. And these women with absolute courage and commitment, and they themselves sacrificed a life, and they came to the assistance of people who were in great, great need. So you can't thank the women enough, but once again, the value of this film is it's as important, frankly, if not more important for non-Armenians to see this film. You understand the history. You've spent years studying. We don't have that pleasure. And so for us to sit through what was an absolutely incredible film is important. And so what I'd like to see is that this film have vast distribution, not just in small theaters, art houses, or in university movie classes, but really a film that sees itself in every single movie theater across this country. That's how important it is.
How do you think we can reach to that?
Well, I think it's from the standpoint of a film itself, and since it's only been about a week, it's 1 week since the Academy Awards. Now, of course, I have not talked to the producer nor the director, but the quality of this film is such that I believe, in my humble opinion, this film is worthy of a nod next year for the Academy Award for the Best Foreign Feature. Certainly Best Documentary Feature. And as you know, having worked in the entertainment side of the newspapers and media, that if you get that type of attention, then the number of folks who will have the opportunity, who want to see the film, will expand incrementally. So if I were a student of film or an assistant to the producer, that would be the number one most important thing to do here in the United States, to allow all of us non-Armenians to understand what took place in the beginning of the 20th century. Well, we certainly talked about how to get much larger distribution across the United States, because it's far more important, frankly, for those of us non-Armenians to see this picture. So my suggestion to those who have an understanding of the mechanics is to get this nominated next year for the Academy Awards as the best documentary feature, the best foreign feature, and then that allows a lot more people the opportunity to understand history and what took place. But I did want to say, Oppo, and I raised my hand, but we ran out of time. No, that's perfectly acceptable. Is not only is it incredibly important for me, but as somebody who spent those first 2 weeks in ARTSOC last year at the commencement of the war, I saw massacres. And my particular concern is, while it is absolutely essential to never forget history, we also have to be equally concerned that another massacre like I saw, certainly far smaller, because that war, there was a ceasefire imposed, but if that war had continued, I'm telling you, we would have seen another massacre of Armenians in Nagorno-Karabakh, absolutely bar none. So while I look backwards, I look forward, and we've got to prepare and do the right thing.
The meaning behind this, because Armenia is a country now moving. The music in this movie underscores the meaning and brings to life the heart and soul of the Armenian people. And we trust that this soul will resonate with you, all Americans. So it's a movie that we should all take to heart, because we're all one nation under one God.
I was actually pretty impressed with the film as a whole, because I felt that at the core or heart of the film, that it was about compassion, which is always so important. It really gave an overall picture of what a focused and self-dedicating path in life can do. I thought that it was an excellent, once again, representation of what I saw as the entire theme of the Map of Salvation. There was a generalized audience from around the world. I particularly enjoyed speaking with the ambassadors from the different countries, representing the lives of the young women portrayed, the research that went into it, and the after film questioning was also excellent. There was a woman there whose name I do not have, who was actually around 8 or 9 years old at the time of these occurrences, and I thought it was very invaluable to have that experience shared and to let others know that that influence continues and people are ready to step forward.
I've seen many documentaries about the Armenian genocide. This was mesmerizing. I have seen many feature films, I should say, that cost 10 times as much as this to make, and yet had the 1/10 effect on me, and I'm sure that'll have on the world that watches this documentary. It was amazing. It was just breathtaking. The cinematography, the shots that these people were able to capture on such a low budget. If you told me that it cost $10 million to make this, I'd say, what a job. When I heard that this was made for less than $1 million, I could not believe it. I still don't believe it. This is a movie worthy of honors by the Academy. I think if they've seen this, it ought to be considered by many. The most important things, of course, is the story it tells from the eyes of non-Armenians that went to help Armenians, help the orphans, when there's any time a question about where Armenians really massacred, you look at these orphanages full of Armenian children, you go, how come these kids are orphans? I mean, they're only orphans not because their parents abandoned them, but because their parents were massacred at the hands of the Ottoman Turks.
The movie was really touching. It showed me that anybody on earth can make a difference with just one simple actions, small simple actions like that, and it really resonated with me because I'm Armenian. My great grandfather was in one of the orphanages that one of these women saved in that time, so it's really touching. It really shows me that these non-Armenian women made a difference out of the compassion and love in their hearts.
As your family background is in music, what do you think about the music of the film?
The music of the film, it really worked with the movie, and it showed more of an emphasis on key points in the movie, on how the women, their compassion, their love, their respect that people have for them, and it was amazing.
Thank you.
I'm going to say a word. My name is Joseph Baghdadi, and my brother, may God bless his soul, he passed away. But he used to say always, love each other, love Armenians, love Armenia.
I am very thrilled to have watched this documentary. It shed lights on the Armenian genocide. In this politically correct world, we truly need a documentary like this to show our generations what happened to our fathers and grandfathers.